Okay, so let's go over again the audit scope. It refers to the extent and boundaries of an audit. Note, the audit scope generally includes a description of the physical locations. That is when you are determining your quality management scope. It generally includes a description of the physical locations, organizational units, activities and processes, as well as the time period covered. For example, sales, design, operations, full or partial, will be clearly stated. Scope can also define the extent and boundaries of the relevant documentation defined in the criteria. The criteria refers to the standards, the manuals, the procedures, the instructions. Team selection. The size and composition of an audit team, reflects, the objective of the audit, the criteria, the scope, the estimated duration, independence versus conflict of interest. That is, as you are composing the team, you have to check if, the auditor has to be independent of the process he or she is auditing. Empathy between auditors and auditees, you have to check all these things. Required knowledge and expertise. If you are going to a very skilled, organization that requires some expertise, you have to get, technical know-how, as part of your partners, so that the audits will be effective. Language. If you are going to conduct audits in an organization, that it's not, you don't understand their lingua franca, definitely you would have to include in your audit team translators. If not, there is no way you can communicate. So chapter 4 now, the process, performing process audits. Process audit. What is the objective of this section? To identify the basic requirements for performing process-based system audits, including the opening meeting, how you conduct the opening meeting, process model, auditing interlinked processes, confirming effective implementation, tools and techniques, interview tips, and auditor attributes. That is what we'll be looking at in this section. How do you perform process-based audits? You have to begin the audit with an opening meeting. Part of what you do during the opening meeting, you confirm the audit objective, the audit criteria, the audit scope that is clearly written in the audit plan. You will confirm it there at the opening meeting. You also confirm, the staff availability, then communication and reporting methods. Then also, you also consider if there are emergency security precautions that need to be taken, if there are provisions for guides or escorts. Then you also confirm the closing meeting venue and time and dates. All this is part of what you do during the opening meeting. Functional approach, typically procedures-based. This is giving you an illustration of how you can conduct a, audit, process-based audit. You check, from the boss to the function 1, function 2, function 3, function 4. So it means you are following it, process by process to conduct the audit. We have seen this interaction flow previously, telling you about the process. That is, you understand the process and interlink them so you'll be able to ask relevant questions relating to each process. Audit techniques. Use high-level audit questions. We know that you conduct a system management audit using interview, observation method. So you have to know how to ask the relevant questions. This is a tip. You start, after the introduction. Good morning. My name is Victoria Aswenime. I'm here to conduct internal audit, of Global Maritime Academy. Can I meet you, sir? Can I meet you, ma? And the person will introduce him or herself. By the time the person have introduced him or herself, his name is this, this is his designation. You have to check, confirm his designation by checking for his job description. Who are his customers? Has he identified his interested parties? Remember, when we are talking about clause 4, as the person, identified, that department, have they identified their interested parties? Who are their customers internally and externally? That is their interested parties. What are their key requirements? Their process deliverables. The auditee should be able to give a brief about that process performance. So your audit notes will also include, a brief about the department process. Who has defined this? Yes, who defined, the processes? How was it established? How is the process planned, managed, and controlled to consistently provide these deliverables? These are, questions that you can ask for you to be able to, conduct the audit effectively. What elements or activities within the process can most affect the required output, deliverables? How are these managed and controlled? Talking about risk-based thinking. Have they identified, the possible risks to their objectives, to the performance of their objectives? What are the critical inputs? What are the inputs for that process? What are the controls? What are the resources available for their, service rendering or their production? What about information? Do they have the required information? How is the effectiveness of the process monitored and confirmed? What actions have been taken or planned to continually improve? So when you go through these questions, you see that these questions have, cut across from clause 4 to clause 10 of the management standard. Process-based versus procedure approach. Procedure approach, task focused. You are focused on the task, what we do, inward looking. You focus on the needs of the department / function. The discontinuations, you focus on satisfying the rules, procedures that exist. Are they static? Process approach, you are focusing on the results. What are the results of, of their output? What do they produce? What service do they render? Outward looking both ways. Focus on needs of direct customers. Close to a conclusion, joined up management. Focus on satisfying the immediate customer. Processes behave. They are dynamic. Yes, processes behave. They are dynamic. They're not static. It's procedures that are static. Audit techniques. Auditing interlinked processes. Some processes are interlinked. So when you are auditing such processes, you have to follow them, process by process, step by step. Sample processes, activities, and their interfaces. Audit trails. Audit trails. Planned or investigate. Random samples. Yes, audit, is a sampling exercise. When you conduct an audit, it doesn't mean that, your reports, when someone else or another audit team conduct audit on that particular activity, it doesn't mean that, the report is going to be exactly the same. No, audit is a sampling exercise. Audit techniques. Confirming effective implementation. Sample output for consistency. You check their output. Is their output in January, is it consistent with the output in February? The one in February, is it consistent with the output in April, in March? Because that is the aim of the system management. The output has to be consistent. Conformity with documented procedures. Are they working in accordance with what they have put in their procedures? Conformity with requirements. Is that organization working in accordance with the requirement of ISO 9001, 2015? You have to check all those things. What about their established objectives? Are they working in accordance with it? Audit techniques, that is talking about the auditor's tools. As an upcoming auditor, system management auditor, you'll be talking about having checklists, checklists that will guide you in checking, to check so that you don't miss out any section of the clause. What are the possible things that you need to check so that you don't miss out? The eyes, the ears, the mouth are part of the auditor's, tools. You ask questions with your mouth. You also, hear what the auditors, reply, the auditees, their reply. You hear it with your ears. You also observe with your eyes. You also have to ask open questions to be able to know more and be able to and get evidence about the audit. Look objective evidence. Yes, you look out for objective evidence. Then you also record objective evidence. Ask primarily open questions that would, make the auditee to speak and respond. Record objective evidence. Show me how you perform this task. Show me records of, of the implementation of this task. Interview tips. The right responsible person. At normal workplace, some people, when at the mention of the word and audit, they are tense. So when you get into such a place, you have to first and foremost ensure that the auditee is calm. If you need to crack a joke, if you need, to tell a story for the person, the auditee to become calm before you go into the audit proper, you have to do it, because you cannot get the best out of the audit section if the auditee is already tensed. You won't get the best. Explain reason for audit. Well, by the time you get to the staff room, to the office, to the place where you want to conduct the audit, you have to explain to them the reasons for the audit. What is the objective of the audit? You have to let them know that it's not a fault-finding exercise, but rather is an opportunity for improvement. And it is something that is focused on the process, not on individual. Management system audit is focused on the process, not the individual. Ask open questions. Focus, that is directed, to the process. Avoid leading questions that will be leading to somewhere else. Summarize and review. Where there are, concerns, you also raise them. Where there are, positive things that you need to commend them for, you commend. Then you seek for their cooperation. It's a team, audit is a team effort thing. So you seek for their cooperation. Applicable audit method. You have the human interaction. We went through this yesterday. You conduct interviews. You check and complete your checklist or questionnaires with the auditee participation. You also conduct document review with the auditee participation. As I've said before, audit is sampling. You also go around, you observe. And it's not just the head of the process, that you speak with during the audit. You also have to check, the team. Are they aware? You check their knowledge. Are they aware? Are they even aware that, there is a procedure for their processes? Are they aware of the quality policy? Are they aware of their contribution towards implementation of the management system? You have to check all these things. And there is no way you can do it if you don't interview one or two, staffs in that department or process. Attributes of the auditor, a good auditor. These are some of the attributes of a good auditor. A good auditor has to be assertive but not aggressive. That is, you have to be able to, take your stand. But it doesn't mean that you will be aggressive. Audit is not a fight section. You have to be assertive. you stand your ground. Some auditees would want to derail, would want, to, told the line of, bringing up stories or other things so that you would derail from the audit. No, you have to learn to be exactive, but it doesn't mean that you'll be aggressive. Then you have to be ethical. You have to be open-minded. You are not going to the audit with, with already made up a conclusion. No, you have to be open-minded, and you have to be diplomatic. Then you have to be observant. You make use of the eyes. You have to be observant. Get, some evidence, get, some things about the audit. Then go there with a good perspective. And you have to also be versatile, tenacious, decisive, and self-reliant. So you will not be conducting an audit and then you say, oh, give me 1 minute. You want to go and find out from your audit team if this is okay, if this is a non-conformity or no. You have to be self-reliant. You have to have the right knowledge, the right tools at that time. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do we have questions? Yes, do we have questions? Do we have questions? Hello?
No questions now.
No questions now. Okay. Okay, so let's take this section before we go on our break. So this has to do with audit planning and preparation. The audit planning and preparation. Using the PDCA circle, you have to plan. To identify what's the objective of this section, to identify the basic fundamentals of audit planning preparation, including the inputs to planning process proper, output from planning process. Planning inputs. Part of the planning input for the audit includes the audit objectives. What is the objective? Why are you carrying out that audit? What's the audit criteria? What's the audit scope? Process description, their flow charts, their documentation, specification, what regulatory and statutory requirements are relevant to that organization. You have to be aware. Result of previous audits. Have they, been involved in management audits previously? What was the result? What was the finding? Correct performance data, customer requirements, and problems, if there are any, and any other key issue. All these things are part of the inputs that will give you, keep you informed on how to plan your audit team. Initial contact. You have to contact, the management of that organization. If it is an internal audit, the audit team lead would have to prepare the audit plan, would have to circulate the audit plan to all the concerned. The entire organization, are supposed to be aware before the conduct of the audit. Management system audit is not conducted impromptu. It is planned. All the auditees must be duly informed at least a week before the conduct of the audit. They would have to agree on the dates and the timing. They would also determine the objective of the audit, the criteria, provisional scope, also obtain relevant process documentation for review. Document review. Review all relevant documents, including process maps, flow charts. That is to give you, information so that you know what that department is all about, and it will keep you abreast on how to ask the relevant questions, to know what, to check what are the statutory and regulatory requirements relevant to that department or to that organization. The audit plan. You map out audit trails, e.g. identify activities, yes, and their sequence. Which activity comes first? Which one is the subsequent activity? You have to, so that you'll be able to follow it up. critical inputs and outputs, identify timings relative to size, complexity of the processes, number of activities, clauses of the standard that is relevant to that particular department, current issues. Then you now create the audit plan. Then the team selection / brief. You ensure adequate expertise to provide suitable knowledge and independence. So someone that's, that is in admission department will not be included as part of the auditors to audit that same department. No. Rather, someone from a different department will be the one that will be drafted to that department to audit that department. Preparing checklists. You can create checklists. You can create checklists, using the standard. The use of checklists is to enable you have, a smooth flow while conducting the audit. But as you move ahead, in the audit business, you get to know that, it becomes part of you, that, it flows, which question, what to check, the things to observe as the audit process become part and parcel of, the auditor. But as an upcoming auditor, you would definitely have to go with a checklist. Auditors create individual checklists reflecting the process documentation, documented procedure or work instructions, process activities, inputs and outputs. Also with the ISO 9001-2015 standard, result of previous audits, known problem areas / changes, trends, identify the critical, samples. So here we have sample of checkpoints for auditing the internal audit process. Like this is relevant to section 9.2, which is internal audit. Do audits determine conformity to the plan arrangement, the requirement of ISO 9001, the company QMS? Does the audit program, that is, you are checking their audits, do they have an audit program? Is that what is written in that program? Does it reflect what they're actually doing? Is it in accordance with what the ISO 9001-2015 standard requirements? That is how you create a checklist. Who are the customers of the process? This is under clause 4. Right? Are they established interested parties register, both for the organization or for the individual department? What are their key requirements? Their key deliverables? Who has defined this? How is the process planned and managed? We have gone through this slide previously. Confirmation. Advise relevant management of final objectives, timing, criteria, basis. That is, you now inform them of the final audit, plan. You have to confirm it, that the timing is suitable, to them. Output from planning process. You now have the audit plan. That's, yes, by the time you are done with the planning, you will then finally have the output, which is audit plan. You will now have the audit checklist. You now have audit sample. Then agreements with relevant management and audit manager on the audit objective, criteria, scope, timing, and the personnel that will be involved. That is the audit team. So do we have any questions on this? Hello? Hello? Okay. So let's take our 1 hour break. So by 1 p.m. we should reconvene.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One hour break.